folks, it's been a minute, but we've been pretty busy. I'm gonna try to do this one long form style because I hate editing. I don't have the software to do it well, so we're just gonna take it slow and look at some stuff. This is Coreopsis, incredible twist or swirl or something. I haven't picked any of it. I find it too delicate for what I typically use flowers for, but it is beautiful and it's covered in insects, which you'll probably hear me say 5,000 times. And then we've got maybe 20-ish feet of Rudbeckia. There's all kinds in here. Up in front, these super compound ones are probably Cherokee Sunset. Or I have Chimchimney, which is has that quilled petal. So I didn't label anything, bear with me. But there's a lot going on in here. We've got prairie, nope, I don't remember. Prairie set skies, prairie something, the green-eyed one. There's Goldilocks and Marmalade and all these other ones. I don't remember the order in which I planted them. This one for sure is Cherry Brandy because that's the only one that I have that looks like this. And they're just kind of getting started. Some of them are further behind. There's just like variety delays, it looks like. But there's some really beautiful doubles down here, which I'm super excited about. And then we move on to this one, which I don't remember what it's called. I feel like the variety might be like the Bride or just white or something like that. But I think it's American Basket Flower or something. This is almost 4 inches across, if you can see that. I was expecting something quite a bit smaller, but I am not sad about the size of this flower. I do think I was supposed to pinch them because it looks like that might have worked well, but honestly there's like a solid 12-inch stem length there either way, so I'm not too concerned about it. I really should have started at the top and moved down, but up here is a row that's mostly statice and strawflower. So there's statice on one end, there's kind of a dividing patch of Dusty Miller there in the middle, and then strawflowers galore down there, and all this stuff in the pathway is invasive morning glory or bindweed, whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, it's going to be a long battle, but that's how it goes. That's just the first top rows. Down there at the end you can see this is lime green Nicotiana. I love it. It's such a silly different texture in bouquets. Unfortunately it's really unfortunately for my purposes, I guess, it's really glandular and has a lot of sticky stuff, like resinous type stuff on the stems and leaves and bracts, which makes it really good at collecting dirt and insects and stuff like that. So it's related to tobacco. It's got that same thing going on, and I love it. It's beautiful, but I would need to place it somewhere where it's behind a windbreak, I think, because it just collected dirt a lot this year. But that's okay. Down here we've got some Gomphrena that's starting to come on. I don't really like picking this, but it's super cute, and I keep growing it as a backup crop. Just in case situation. So we've got several colors of that going on. And then down here we have an oddball patch of salvia with zero intention of picking on it. This is more, I thought I was going to put it in the landscape, but and this is like coral nymph, and then this is just the standard red species. They're great for hummingbirds though, and I really encourage all the different birds and stuff out here, so that's great. Down here we've got a type of scabiosa that you use more for the flower heads, or the seed heads rather. So this is, I think it's just called starflower or something like that. I haven't picked any of these yet. Again, one I probably should have pinched, but they're just about ready to pick, which is exciting. And then down here we've got our more standard annual scabiosa, also just starting to crack. So that looks like Fata Morgana, or however you want to pronounce that name. We've got some plain white, which probably means it was in a mix. And then down here we have some sort of salmony or pink color just starting to bloom. And then down here we've got a whole patch of a different kind of sage that I was trialing this year to see how I liked it. I had a lot of hopes for this white one, or this white variety. Unfortunately, you can see there's a lot of tip damage on it, and I think it's wind stress or bug damage or whatever, so the white's not really working out, but the pink and the blue are doing pretty well. So I don't know that I would continue growing the white. I also just don't find myself picking it a lot, so gotta try something before you know it's not gonna work. But it does make quite a cool little display right here, so it's kind of a little stripey situation. And then we've got the zinnias starting to come in, which is super exciting. To me, zinnias are kind of synonymous with summer, so it really feels like summer, you know, even though we've been having 100-degree days and all. So on this back section here, there's a lot of queen lime. Along through here are the different kinds of queen lime series. So we've got the peachy kind down here. That's not the greatest example. Some of these are pretty weird looking. The first ones kind of come out a little strange looking. But up here we've got the red variety, and that's, you can see a little friend on there, which he's probably not a friend. It's probably actually something that's damaging them, but that is life. Here's a better version of the peachy one. It's a better example of what the peach can look like. And then we've got benneries and all kinds of other stuff. I saw a swallowtail butterfly out here yesterday, 2 days ago. So that was pretty cool. I was trying to grow more of the lime because I find it to be a good filler when I'm struggling to find other green filler, so I quite like it. I know not everybody's into it, but I think it's pretty cool. And we've got more, they're like benneries or state fair type mix in here. Oh, there's a little helpful dog. And then this one might be Senora or something. Or there was also one called Eldorado that was kind of similar to this, but kind of got that quilled petal style going. And it just keeps going. It just keeps. We'll get down into some reds. Oh, here's another bane of our existence. There's tumbleweed. Synonymous with the West, but it's invasive, so that's fun. It'll take us years and years. Here's one little patch of cosmos. I made the decision this year to not really prioritize growing cosmos because it's a pain in the butt to pick. It doesn't have a very long base life, and it's beautiful, so I still grow some, but not so much as in the past. Here's a bed of Larkspur that's blooming out. This year I had kind of 2 waves of Larkspur, which was really cool. So I had the ones that had reseeded themselves and were just growing wild and volunteered, and then this batch is stuff I started in a tray in our greenhouse, kind of set up in the spring, and then now it's kind of acting as that second wave, which some of it's kind of coming to an end, but it's beautiful. I've got some of those kind of purpley gray varieties that are, I just really like those. And down here, we've got what looks like a bed of clover, and then if you look a little more closely, you see that there's Lisianthus poking out of it. So this is one more bed that didn't get weeded in time, but the Lisianthus seem to be doing okay. So they're coming through. They're the tallest I've ever grown. Honestly, some of the best Lisianthus I've ever grown from seed. Oh, there's one with a bud on it. It looks like a green variety. So this is probably like a Roseanne series. Come on, friend, focus. Can't do it. Just can't do it. But that's exciting. So we've got some Lisianthus. Debating whether or not I want to continue growing that because I don't know. There's some poppies, birdseed poppies, big flopped over bachelor buttons, some bloomed out Cerenth. Back here is another section of bells of Ireland. So these are ones I started from seed indoors or in the greenhouse and then planted them out, and they're kind of doing a similar thing that the Larkspur did, where we're getting a second wave and they still look really bright and green and beautiful. And as opposed to the ones that volunteered and are starting to fade out and look a little chlorotic and stuff like that. So I'm pretty pleased with how that went. I thought to myself, why do I keep starting them indoors? And this is exactly why. So I kind of get that two-wave effect. There's some really beautiful Larkspur in here. I'm just so stoked with these. I like some of these are well past picking conditions. They're too bloomed along, or this one's clearly past its prime. But that's okay. They're also just beautiful to browse through. It was cloudy earlier, which was so wonderful. Such an awesome break from the heat, but it looks like we're going back. And then this is family food. So this is a row of, it's kind of got a couple things going on. There's blocks of dry corn, so you can kind of see their different ages. There's blocks of seed sunflowers and blocks of dry corn. And then over here, it's the same deal, but sweet corn with the dry beans and the sunflowers. So kind of just more experiments happening. But down here below them, we've got one of the Dahlia rows, and we have this awesome Dahlia. I don't really know what the vase life is like on it yet, but this one is called Mambo, and it's like, a friend of mine described it as two dahlias in one, because it's kind of got that outer frill and then this whole thing going on in the center. I thought was apt. And down here we've got Boom Boom White coming in. Oh, there's a little bug in there. Do you see that? We can do this camera, I promise. Oh. There's a little friend living in there. That's pretty rad. And then it continues. So there's, in the front here, we've got named varieties. There's a patch in the middle, which is started from seed, which I'm not super thrilled with any of the varieties I found, or varieties, but any of the seed types I have so far. I like these peachy ones, but I don't know that I would keep them. This one's pretty cute, but again, not something I would really plan to keep, but we'll see how sentimental I feel at the end of the season. So there were a lot of like cactus types in here, which, not my thing. That's okay. This one's promising, but it's coming in a little funky. Kind of almost has like Cosmos seashells sort of vibes. But again, you can see a lot of open face, sort of odd structures, not something super enthusiastic about. There's a cute little guy down here. We're getting back into the named varieties, so. Oh, there's a visitor on it too. This one turned out open face though, which is less than ideal. But that happens. We'll just rogue that one. And then I had these in my notes. I kept calling them terrible tubs because they were terrible tubs of tubers that were sitting in my basement for too long, and that's what these are. So these are more named varieties, and then varieties that I saved from seed plants the past couple years. And then there's not a ton blooming down here yet, because some of this is intended to be perennial sections. Ooh, we can go look at the liatris though. So there's some delphiniums there. Ooh, yes, we gotta look at this one though. This is a terrifying plant. Has spines like everywhere. So there's spines on the underside of the leaves, there's spines on the top of the leaves, and if you're thinking, wow, that really looks like an eggplant plant, that's because it is a Solanaceae, or Solanum, whatever. It's in that group. And if you look down here, we've got little eggplant looking things forming, and what it's called is pumpkin on a stick, so it makes these cute little spikes with pumpkin looking eggplants on them. I didn't realize the plants were going to be so vicious looking, but I'm kind of really enjoying that. I'm trying really hard not to touch them, but they're their own mood. They're their own vibe. I'm not trying to sound young. They do have their own thing going on. If you were doing like a goth garden, this plant should be included. Down here we've got some yarrow that I moved out here kind of haphazardly, which I'm trying to do less of, but that's what happens. There's a little patch of calla lilies. They started blooming really short, and then some of them caught up. These three bigger plants are older that I've had for a couple years. I have a ton of thrip damage on these gladiolas. These are the annual variety, and then these are the perennial variety. These are technically not hardy here, but I'm gonna leave them in the ground and see what happens. But I want to show you though. I tried planting petunias under everything to see if they would trap insects, because they were trapping them in my greenhouse. And then also they're also related to tobacco and stuff. So they, come on. I don't know if it's going to show you. There we go. You can see all the stuff stuck to them. So they're also sticky. So if you've ever touched a petunia plant, you know what I'm talking about. So I was hoping they would trap some of the thrips, but yeah, we'll see. I don't think it really worked, but it's a work in progress. We got some thistle. Great. Ooh, check this out. It's gonna get it. There's these super cool little bees on here. Oh, come on, camera. There we go. Do you see them? I can't tell if it's just coated in pollen, if it really is that white. Anyway, bad photography aside, these are liatris. So there's mostly purple, and then there's a few white down there. And then over here, again, not much blooming. There's celosia. There's, oh, the marigolds are starting to bloom. There's Mornicoshiana. There's that purple stuff there is Mahogany Splendor, hibiscus. So hopefully it'll start hardening off soon and we can pick some of it. There's some more cosmos. And then down here we've got general hodgepodge row, plus mostly perennials. So the objective is for these rows eventually to be all perennials. Down here we've got penstemons, lupin, echinops back there, eryngium further along. Not that exciting to look at right now for folks who are just looking for flowers, but it's coming along, and next year it should be pretty full. So you can kind of see the eryngium coming in over here. There's a spike right there in the middle, if you can see. See if I can point at it real quick. Right there. There's this flower spike coming in. So these are first year eryngium plants. And then this big mess over here is the rest of the garden. So this is the original kind of half of the garden. There's food crops in here, so there's peppers and peppers, sweet potatoes. I'm trying to grow peanuts, green beans, cucumbers and melons, and then other hodgepodge stuff on the bottom row because I got my rows mixed up when I was planting. So there's sunflowers and stuff back there. But check this out. What I actually planted in here was amaranth, and then all this me volunteered, and I have no heart to rip it out sometimes. And also all these insects love it, so there's plenty of amaranth that volunteered too, so I'm not short amaranth by any means. Oh, check out me on this one. Of course, I scare them all away. But it is flush with insects, is for sure. And it's a great filler, so that's exciting. Back up here, sunflower row that I let the dill go in. Same deal, different day. Not very good at pulling the volunteers out. This is where the basil is supposed to be. It is here, but tons of volunteer amaranth that I didn't pinch out or get rid of. And so it's very small, and I don't know that I'm really going to be able to use basil this year, but lessons learned. This is Sweet Annie. I'm on the fence about growing this because I'm a little worried it's going to become invasive, but we'll see what happens with it. There's some more dill that I planted on purpose. There's lettuce going to seed. There was just a hummingbird, but oh, you gotta get this view. Oh, there's a dog. She's been chasing grasshoppers a lot. So she's pretty wiped out. But this row of sunflowers, the ones in the front are pro cuts. They're just within the last week or so they started to bloom. Unfortunately, I get a lot of insect damage. It's really obvious on some of the paler varieties. So you can see beautiful disc, but in the center there, we've got some sort of insect damage. You can also see it in the way that the petals form. There's just, you know, a cocoon straight in there. Oh, there's a spider. Get him, spider. I'm gonna leave that one alone so the spider can do its work. But you can see there's just a lot of damage in some of them, which is a bummer. But interestingly, it looks like the lemon variety isn't taking as much damage. So, oh, look at this guy. I swear I took a video of this same bee earlier, but look at him. Or her. Look at it. but they just seem to not be as damaged, or maybe it's just that they have a dark center so it's harder to see, because you can definitely see like frass back here or insect damage back here. And if you look, I don't know if you can see that, but if you look right there, there's that same kind of stripe, so maybe it's just a darker color. Oh yeah, you can see it. So I just proved myself wrong, but that's okay. We'll find out. Yeah, you can see, okay, I was totally wrong. So this is totally malformed because this is like hollow right here compared to the rest of it. But they're fine for home use still. And then up here we've got the wild embankment of volunteer Rudbeckia. Down in here is all a lot of weeds, and then a lot of campanula that will bloom next year. And then back here is where all those bells of Ireland originally volunteered. So this is like year 2 on the volunteer patch of bells of Ireland, and you can see they're starting to yellow out and dry out and drop their foliage and stuff like that. So having that first patch that I showed you coming on now is pretty great. There are also parts of it where they are still a lot more green. So I don't know if those were just younger plants or they got cut back and flushed out again, but there's quite a lot of it in here. I should just become a Bells of Ireland farm because they like my neglectful structure. More and more volunteer Rudbeckia. We'll get into that mess in a second. I just want to show you this aisle. So up top is snapdragons. Most of those flowers need to come off. They need to be deadheaded. And then the best sweet peas I've ever grown in my life in this climate are on that fence and full of seeds. So we'll see if I feel inclined to save any seeds off that this year. But yeah, mostly these all need to get trimmed out, and hopefully they'll rebound a quick bit for fall in just a couple months here. But got some echinacea, some solidago, I think this is called golden baby, which is a cultivar of our native species as far as I could figure out. I quite love it, and it's also one that gets loaded with insects. Ooh, there's another bee on the Monarda. I haven't quite figured out how to cut this Monarda in a way that it looks good 3 days later, but this stuff is pretty great. This is lemon bee balm, and then I think my favorite is the spotted bee balm. It's just such a strange, wonderful plant. And it's native to like the Midwest or East Coast or both. Anything west of the Rockies I'm okay at, and east of the Rockies I'm not great at IDing necessarily or knowing, but I don't know if you can hear all the bees, but there's a lot of bees. It's quite good. And then this weedy mess is actually a yarrow patch, so this is first year blooming, so next year it should just be 3 foot tall mass in the spring and then rebloom in the fall. I very naively used to believe that I wasn't really influenceable. Like I thought I was pretty solid. It turned out I just hadn't figured out what influenced me, which is gardening things. So this is terracotta yarrow, which I probably never would have sought out in my life, except I saw it on somebody's YouTube video and was like, yeah, I need that too. And it is really cool. It's got a couple different colors it goes through. So this is a newer flower. Let me get focused in real quick. So that's a newer flower. This is like middle-aged, teenaged flower, and then they kind of age out from there. And then this center, they age out to this kind of buttery, creamy yellow towards the end, which I don't think I would pick that at this point, but that's okay. And then we've got, well, this is one I bought on clearance like 2 years ago. It turned out to be a really beautiful red one. I don't remember the name of it, but. And then I've got Russian status up here, but it does not seem happy. I don't know why this portion of it, yeah, they're dead. So that's okay. I have more yarrow to plant, so that's where it's going. But yeah, this is a hot mess up here. I don't have all the time to weed, so that's okay. And then over here we've got a lot of what was spring volunteer flowers that's kind of petered out. Monarda, tons of bachelor buttons and Clarkia. Ooh, look at this white swan echinacea though. They're so beautiful, but I have such a hard time not bruising them when I pick them. I find it difficult to use them in arrangements because I'm not delicate enough with them, but I'll figure it out because they're worth it. You can hear that my irrigation has a leak right there. One of the tape pieces must have a little puncture in it somewhere, but I'm not too concerned. It's watering these volunteer trees here. And then you can see all the Clarkia is done. So we had maybe 10 or 15 feet of just this earlier this season, and now it's all going to seed. So if you pick one of these off and pop it open, all those little brown specks are seed. If you're so inclined, as I often am, you can collect those and save them. But I probably have like an ounce of seed in the house, which those seeds are small, they're lightweight. That's a lot of seed. I don't really need more, is what I'm telling myself. This is Rudbeckia. We've been having heat and wind, so not everything, a lot of things are showing stress and damage because of that. So you can see on here, there's some damage, but I'm pretty sure it'll pull through. This is a tree I tried to kill. We're pretty sure it's some sort of hybrid, but if anybody knows better, let me know, because I left some of the things that I thought were native. That looks like stuff that we have growing here already, but this is the first patch of solidago that bloomed. And you can see it's starting to fluff off, so I wouldn't pick at this stage anymore. That's about it. Down there's more food crops. Oh, this is where my feverfew was. I need to deadhead that too. There's a lot of weeds, again, always, and volunteers that I shouldn't have let go, but there's mostly feverfew in this section is what it's supposed to be, and then foxglove in that section, which I don't think I'm really going to pursue growing in the future, and that's okay. Down here we have Physostegia, an obedient plant. I grew up calling it false snapdragon or false dragon heads or something like that. But this is another one that's native to like the Midwest and East Coast or East Coast. It has these really cool flowers, which I will try to remember to show you. I got a couple chunks of it up by the house. This spring I decided why not try to make more of it because it's so cool. So this little patch right here is that. And then I bought seeds for a white variety, which is in that mess somewhere. The plants hopefully are still there. We'll find out later. As you can tell, I'm not big on super tidy, clean rows. I did weed whack through here a couple times because I needed pathways. But I prefer this abundant mess. It's a lot more complex. It offers a lot more cover and habitat. We have baby quail in here. There's goldfinches working on the sunflowers, which I'll try to get on video at some point. There's endless quantities of rodents for Ava to hunt. I've seen a gopher snake a couple times. I think it's probably the same one. We do keep an eye on her out here. She's not just free roaming and eating whatever she wants. The dog, that is, not the snake. But yeah, this is the chaos that's mid-July. In about a couple weeks, I'm probably going to want to give up on it all. And I think I'm just going to build myself a break-in and say, not selling flowers this week. Not doing it. Just pick some for myself and call it good. Here's all the poppies that volunteered all over the place that are good and toasty done. So again, if you were so inclined, you could pop this off. Oop, there's not a lot of seeds in there, but those little brown specks are seeds. I bet with the wind, ooh, that one sounds like it's got more. Yeah, that one's got oodles in it. So all those brown specks are seeds. And if there was something you wanted to keep, you could save those for next year. Or I found in our climate, if you just do that, you will get hundreds, if not thousands, of volunteers the next year. Ooh, just for funsies. This is blue gilia. I don't know that it's native up here, but it's native in California. And it is covered in these beetles. So I think they must be eating the seeds. There's these little black beetles on here. This is another one I planted like once, and now it's all over the place, and I don't mind. It's really good for the insects early in the year. But yeah, it's always more work to do. It's always more things to explore. I'm gonna find us a good end point because we'll go see if we can see the goldfinches because they were out there earlier. Here's some amaranth coming in. How beautiful, beautiful is that? It's far too big to like actually use, but I've just been letting it go because our peppers are growing down there and it's providing a little bit of protection. But we've got like that, I don't know if it's Viridis or who this was from last year, but one of the weeping kinds, a green variety. And we're just gonna post up over here. Hope Ava doesn't scare everybody off. Let's see what we can see in terms of birds. I might cut out a section, but we'll see. Also, all these sunflowers are volunteers. I didn't plant any of them down here. There's pretty obvious blocks where I did plant them. But let's see, I don't see anybody. That's okay, I'll find them next time. Well, I don't think I'm going to be graced with the goldfinches right now since Ava's sauntering through their preferred hangout spot. But if you made it this far, appreciate your time. I hope you found something interesting here. And we'll be back with this hot mess, but probably slightly browner because it will be drying down more by the time I get around to filming again. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.